If it's not obvious, I have no idea what I'm doing. Ooh, I don't know what I'm doing. Ah, dear. G'day, mate. Alrighty, 7 days of spinning. That's how I feel. I feel like I'm spinning out of control. Let us rewind to a moment in the recent past. The scene took place on a Saturday morning early December. With third period over just before lunch, the only activity that remained before scholastic day ended was homeroom. I have no idea if anyone can even hear me. Let me check my monitor. Check when. Oh yeah, they can. Alright. Two of Class C's students, Sojudo Shizuki, Hosuke Kinomi, were standing outside on the balcony overlooking the schoolyard. They were stuck waiting for their homeroom teacher, Mr. Kazuki Yamashiro, and could not leave until he arrived. The rest of the classmates were chatting idly in the classroom. Class A's Tobimaru Tsukiji was killing time alongside them. The listless trio discussed their weekend plans as they leaned on the veranda railing. You working at the Bear this weekend, Kinomi? Like hell I am. Who the hell works till Sunday? I'm going out tomorrow with some chicks from Class B. At least that was the plan. They said they're grounded or something. So, in other words, you failed again? Jeez. Kick a man when he's down so much, Shizuki. Please. Even the most airheaded chicks know better than to accept an invite from a dumbass. Crash and burn all you like. Don't drag Sonji into the fallout, will you? Well, excuse me, Your Majesty. You're one to talk. Word to the wise, Shizuki. Tsukiji's heart is as black as they come. In his mind, he's like, those labels you use to separate the trash? This dude uses them to label people. You're either useful to him, or you ain't. Yeah. I cannot nail voices. I can't keep a consistent voice. Yeah, I figured that out. Speaking of which, I know this is a bit out of the blue, but what do you think of Kinomi Tobimaru? Well, you know how the country's going to stop collecting oversized scrap for free soon, since it costs too much to dispose of? That's because of people like him. Well, what kind of nonsense is that? Who throws out big stuff like cabinets when you make good money off them? The future is grab and go, Just look how rad those disposable cameras you can buy at the convenience stores are. Looks like the times have finally caught up with my idea of consumer culture. So, Kinomi's working this weekend? How about you? What about you, Tobimaru? My time's coming. Just you watch. There's some business I need to attend to on my end. I'll be entertaining a guest of my father's, giving a tour of the city and stuff like that. Frickin' rude. Don't interrupt a guy when he's talking. I was gonna say, I'm gonna be watching my kid sister. It ain't helping out that crappy Chinese restaurant. What about you, Sonji? You working tomorrow? No, but I'm going to work at the amusement park after school today. What? Magic Kitsy Land? Seriously? You're tougher than you look, Shizuki. I overheard even the judo guys who worked there bailed. It couldn't possibly be worse than carrying boxes for X-Fed, right? Trying to escape from copyright law, apparently. We all know what you're saying. We all know what you're saying. Please, do not just continue. Well, okay, not that bad. Damn, that Aho Yamashita is taking his sweet time. Look, Class B is already leaving. Looks like I didn't want to pull this card, but we'll just have to call him. Can't let Sonji be late for work. And as if by design, the moment Tobimaru Tsukiji stood up wearily from the balcony railing, the school's PA system chime rang. Sojiro Shizuki, Class 2C, please report immediately to Mr. Yamashita in the faculty room. I repeat, Sojiro Shizuki, Class 2C. An awkward silence fell upon the three. After a long 5 seconds, Sojiro said goodbye and headed back inside. This tea tastes like cough syrup. Nothing ever happens here. Can't someone make a crop circle in the schoolyard or something? Kinomi grumbled, slouching his shoulders and succumbing to his lethargy. Stop expecting to make life interesting. If you're bored, then make something happen yourself. Challenge Aozaki to an interclass debate or something. Eat sufferance. Suffering ain't interesting. Scrapping with the prez is asking for it. I said interesting, not terrifying. As a decent, upstanding red-blood male, I'd happily settle for a hot transfer student showing up. As long as she isn't boring anyway. Maybe if she were a Hollywood producer or some famous English singer or... Don't get your hopes up. That's how you end up in trouble. With some weird chick. Lame. If you're going that far, at least make her a babe from Mars. What are with teenage boys? Attention! This is an announcement from Mr. Yamashita. Mr. Yamashita is currently occupied and unable to attend homeroom. Please make your way home. This concludes all announcements for the day. The hell? Even since Yamashita brought that new car, he's been a real punk. Maybe I'll see what sound this dime makes against the door of a new servant. Hold it, hotshot. Just put gum in the keyhole. Teachers get paid peanuts, man. Thank you for having his back. Teachers really do get paid jack. The two frenemies returned to the classroom, complaining all the while. Their concerns for their mutual friend summoned to the faculty office is completely out of mind. I don't agree. This school for students hold part-time jobs. According to school regulations, a job at the workplace authorized by the school is recommended as a social experience. That's true, but in this case, it's a matter of going too far. What if, let's suppose, he were working somewhere without permission, somewhere that might even be violating labor standard laws? I would spell trouble for both the school and for him. Why is it the school's fault? Just because you have to ask permission does not make it the school's fault that someone else was acting a fool. Stop blaming others when others act a fool. The volatile tension between the ruthless student council president and the easygoing modern language teacher permeated the room. Praying to the spared from the impending confrontation, the other teachers hurriedly relocated to the meeting room. By the time Mr. Yamashita noticed this, the only other person in the room was the student council president, Aoko Aozaki. They all ran away, huh? Why does everyone push the scary jobs on me? They're so mean. Don't change the subject, sir. If we do suppose that he is working for an unauthorized workplace, doesn't that mean that the school isn't accommodating his needs? I'm not saying the school needs to cover his room and board, but as long as he's not working too much, his request deserves due consideration. And if you're still concerned about unauthorized workplaces, please first revise the rule that limits each student to only one. After hearing her out and realizing that there's no way she could back down, Mr. Yamashita hung his head. This was supposed to be easy. The plan was to call in the students rumored to be working multiple jobs, confirm whether that rumor was true, and if so, give him a warning and some guidance, then head to lunch with the knowledge that all was right with the world. The student council president, who was coincidentally in the faculty room at the time, had heard the entire issue and decided to call out this injustice. As far as Mr. Yamashita was concerned, she was right. She was in the right, and he was well aware of the aforementioned student situation. Personally, he would have liked to help, but among the faculty, he was just a new kid on the block. He wanted to stay on the vice principal's good side, and at the very least, not lose his job as badly as paid as it was. Look, this is a warning straight from the vice principal. I can't do any more to help. What if we compromised? What do you mean? Student council president removed a document from her bag. It was a document that had been brought up in the morning faculty meeting, bringing a host of headaches with it. Mr. Awazaki, that's not the... Yes, this is the Aida Church's volunteer registration form. There were 0 applicants again this month, a fact that would certainly bother a devout Christian like the vice principal. Even this morning he was lamenting our students' lack of faith. I can't deny that, but what I'd really like to know is how you became so well informed of the content of this morning's faculty meeting. Mr. Yamashita scratched his head, but his eyes were smiling gleefully. Big Brother's watching you. Big Brother's watching you. He'd figured the student council president's objective. So, I'll scratch your back and you'll scratch mine. Is that it? Work conducted on the church's behalf is done on a voluntary basis, but still compensated in some form, and it's officially recognized by the school as a form of social study. The vice principal will be overjoyed to have a participant, and in the event you said volunteer is already employed somewhere else, the school's permission will be extended to both. Considering the precedent, I find that this to be a good compromise. Mr. Yamashita raised his hand in surrender. There were few students able to raise a complaint to propose a proper solution. Perhaps it was her big sisterly disposition that made this girl so simultaneously feared yet trusted. No, she's just terrifying, in the most wonderful way possible. Alright, let's try it your way. Just say a prayer for me, okay? I don't like it when people are overly reliant on others. If you're going to participate in this scheme, please take your part seriously, Mr. Yamashita. With a bow, the student council president turned to leave the faculty room. Oh, wait a second. You're not going anywhere. I'm going to go ahead and call Shizuki now, so I'll need you to stay and look after him properly. Eh? The girl's eyes narrowed. Unable to process what she had just heard, her expression turned to a scowl. If we're going to looking for volunteers, 2 is better than 1, right? Plus, knowing that you are following up on this would give me a great peace of mind. But, sir, I don't... Hello, broadcasting room. Please put an announcement asking for Class 2C student Sojiro Shizuki to report to Mr. Yamashita in the staff room immediately. No, like I was about to say. Oh, this is perfect. And to think that source of my headache would go away today. Go away too? Today's my lucky day. Miss Ozaki, what would I do with your kindness? Wait a second. He's not your type, is he? Oh, broadcasting room, please at the phone. The student council president is eagerly awaiting. Mr. Yamashita! He had that coming. He had that coming so fast. She just was like, psh, shut the fuck up. The next day, a pleasant Sunday, Sojiro was awake 2 hours before the time he was supposed to meet her. After getting up, he decided to go for a leisurely jog to clear his mind, but, lost among his own thoughts, his 30-minute jog turned into almost an hour. Upon realizing, he rushed home. After thoroughly wrecking his brain over what to wear for the occasion, he decided upon wearing his school uniform. Because that's all he has. 10 o'clock, Misaki Central Park, East Entrance. I'll meet you there. Yesterday in the faculty room, when Aoko Aozaki had shared the time and place with him that day, she said it was such a pain on her face. Maybe she was fighting a headache at the time. I wonder if Aozaki is feeling better. Sojiro muttered his words of concern, misguided as they were. In any case, he waited for about 5 minutes. At precisely 10 o'clock, the student council president appeared. Poof! Good morning. Punctual as usual, I see. What's wrong with your face? Are you sick? No, I think I feel fine. He waved off her concern. You're wearing your school uniform. Of course, I'm wearing my uniform. This is a school activity, isn't it? Heavy weight of despondency fell upon Sojiro's shoulders. The inksing over his outfit from the previous 2 hours had been rendered meaningless just like that. The duo, clad in their school uniforms on the day off, walked by the train station. In the beginning, Aoko made efforts to give Sojiro a thorough lay of the land, but today she only shared the bare minimum of explanations. This was partly because, surprisingly, Sojiro had become well accustomed to the town, which restaurants were good, which shortcuts to use in a rush, and why the nearby bicycle shop was better than the department store by the station if you wanted to buy a bicycle. Things a local would know. But the other reason was that it had dawned at Aoko how the two of them conversing might look to a passerby. Boys and girls can just be friends. Why do people seem to not get that in their mind? They're probably just friends. On a different topic, do you mind telling me what kind of work we'll be doing today? From here on, volunteering at the church meant that the school would tolerate his multiple jobs. Sojiro had quickly agreed to the tempting offer, nodding like a bobblehead. But as was typical for him, he had failed to consider the content of the proposal. Well, somehow, I just knew you had no idea what we were going to be doing today. Is this your first time going to Ida Church? This is my second time. The last time was because I was outside admiring the strange architecture, and then a person inside gave me some free candy. He pondered this with sincerity, how exactly a church worked. His contemplative posture made him appear the part of a philosopher, but after all his thinking, he concluded, I guess they started taking your money on the second visit. Such was the extent of Sojiro's concerns. Normally, a church only gives out candy to children, you know. Aoko sighed of the lost little lamb. So, who did you end up meeting? The priest? One of the sisters? A very beautiful woman, as it happens. Oh, Sister Yuika. Then, if we see her today, you'll need to thank her. Or, then again, no need. You're doing just fine in that department anyway. As far as work goes, it's not much different from what you've been doing at school, so it should be straightforward. And considering the church's size, there's actually not a lot of people. Aoko picked up her pace and they headed to the church. Somehow she seemed like a general invading enemy territory. It made Sojiro furrow his brows in discomfort. Don't drink the Kool-Aid. Don't drink the Kool-Aid. Aida Church had a long history. Far from the station, it was a white-painted sanctuary nestled between the business and residential districts. As far as Aoko could remember, the church was, as she knew it now, was a result of remodeling done 8 years prior. It was practically, wow! You think for a guy who could speak 3 languages and English being his native, he'd be able to speak English? He could not. It was practically a cathedral for a town of this size. It's so tiny. It's itty bitty. Incidentally located next to it was the Misaki City General Hospital. From Aoko's perspective, it seemed awfully suspicious for the church to take up residence next to the location in the city where the most lives were lost. Though the only two who were aware of this opinion were her roommate, Alice Kuonji, and the priest. Are you a regular at this place? Me? Not in the slightest. My father and grandfather had a long history with this, but if I could, I'd go back in time and cut all our ties to this place. I had to come here every day in elementary school to help out, and boy, did it ever rub me the wrong way. The more Aoko spoke, the more twisted her expression became. A lot of people are feeling her on a spiritual level. Recalling this made her want to grab it by the proverbial collar, give it a proverbial one-armed judo back throw, smash it into its proverbial head, into the proverbial ground. Proverb, 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 proverb. And kick the proverbial living daylights out of its defenseless proverbial torso. How much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? That's how that entire sentence felt. Such was her so-called trauma that if it were an anthropomorphized, it would take more than a 5-round beating to satisfy her thirst for vengeance. Damn, this girl is pissed! What did they do to you? That's probably a long list. That is probably a very, very, very long list. Poor girl. She needs some religious therapy. It was in this moment that he became aware of Aoko's mood that his soul judo began to fear for his safety. Perhaps attracted by the noisy murder of crows outside the church, a woman in a nun's habit emerged from the front entrance. Excuse me, do you have business with the church today? I'm afraid this church does not associate with criminals, so if you would be so kind as to consider coming another day, or perhaps return once you have remitted for your sinful ways and paid for your crimes to society, you can. I just need to take a moment. This is not a church. You, young lady, need some Jesus in your life, because this is not a church. Jesus came for the sinners, not the saints. Has she read her Bible? Has she read her Bible? Fucking hypocrite. Freaking hypocrite. Who let this woman be a nun? This is the problem with the church. They think they're high and mighty. You are not high and mighty. Get some Jesus in your life, lady. $20 says she's screwing the priest.
Ah,
it's Aoko Aozaki, Sister Yuika. Well, if it isn't Aoko, what a lovely surprise. It's been such a long time since you visited. I suppose it was. I'm only ever called at night to speak with the Father. I suppose it's been, what, close to a year since we had face-to-face conversation? And who knows how long it will be until the next time. Yeah, I'm almost sad to see you grow up so fast. Your presence has become so menacing. You hardly resemble a virtuous girl I remember so well. What is her voice actress? Who is her voice actress? I know that voice. I know that voice. Sister Yuiko. Which Holy Night voice actor. I know that voice somewhere. Sister Yuika, Akia Matsumi. I know that voice actress. Where have I heard her from? I know her from somewhere. Do you mind, young lady? Do you need help? This is not a 2022 game. This game is older. have sworn it was someone else. On the surface, the two exchange congenial. That is not the word I thought that was. I need some Jesus in my life, apparently. Jeez. Unable to read between the lines, all Sojudo could see were two good friends. Here, he and I are this month's volunteers for the beloved Aida Church. It would be our pleasure to be working for exactly 10 to 3, and not a minute more. Well, as you know, we are reaching at end times, but your spirit of service is welcome. Why do people always do this? Why do people always do this? It's the end! The end is there! Sorry, honey, we are not interesting enough to reach that point. There is not... This world is extremely boring compared to the end times. We are not interesting enough to reach that point. We are all just currently living in hell. Why? The house of the Lord is open to all who might enter, even those with wickedness in their heart. You just told them you're not welcome here if you are criminals. This girl needs to pick a lane. Pick a lane, young lady. The nun flashed a smile that was equal parts elegant and cruel. Girl, you need some help. Keeping up appearance aside, she seemed overjoyed to have able hands to put to work. Sounds like a lot of churches. Sounds like a lot of churches. The sister introduced herself to Yuika Suisei, and thanked Sojudo, who had volunteered of his own volition. Sojudo noticed that her eyes were always shut, but not wanting to be rude, especially in front of Aoko, he decided not to pry. Don't ask questions you don't want to know the answer to. Please do not ask questions you don't want to know the answer to. So, you're Mr. Shizuki. Your name is as calm as your countenance. It is. Thanks. The sister let slip a frown at Sojudo's ambivalent response to her compliment. I apologize. I did not mean to cause discomfort by using your surname. May I call you Sojudo instead? Huh? Well, whichever. Either one is fine. Well then, as you wish. I had not appreciated how difficult a subject it would be. Though the sister's tone was gentle, her words seemed somewhat indifferent. She lacked sight, but she guided the two with certainty in her step. Well then, as for what you would be doing, I already know. Christmas is coming up, so you want us to get all of the tedious cleaning out of the way, right? That won't be a problem. Cleaning is our strong suit. It wasn't their strong suit as much as it was Sojudo's. Get on your hands and knees and scrub the podium. Then, Aoko, you will be at the stove preparing communion wafers. Mr. Shizuki will be outside. I will need your help cleaning the areas can't reach. One question. Ritsuka isn't in the kitchen, is she? You can't make me go in there, she is. Don't worry, Ritsuka is not here right now. There's no need to hold back on her account. Somebody was, not ready to go. He's like, excuse me, I'm not dealing with the woman who traumatized me growing up. No, I'm not doing this. Nope. Aoko headed toward the door in the back of the worship hall. As she had indicated, she was quite accustomed to this church.
This way, please, Mr. Shizuki. We will start with the storeroom. I'd like to ask you to carry the cleaning supplies. The work entrusted
to Sojiro did not require any particular skill. It was window cleaning at its most standard.
Should I clean all the windows? Yes. Start with the wet rag, then wipe it with a dry rag. Then use the cleaning spray. Is the ladder tall enough?
Oh, it looks like it might be a little short.
Then just clean what you can reach. Thank you very much.
After the brief exchange, the sister returned to the church. Sojiro began to wonder if it was out of distrust in him that she was being so curt. He understood that it was too soon gleaning an answer for their first meeting, but then again, such answers always eluded Sojiro. Left alone, but no less encouraged, Sojiro began cleaning the windows. The day's weather was a disappointment once again. It had not gone so far as to rain, but it was too overcast to enjoy the sun. That sounds like a beautiful day. I would love it if it was overcast. I wouldn't burn. Actually, I would still. Let's be real here. Honestly, an overcast is wonderful. They are wonderful days. Not too much sun. Not too cold. Well, then again, actually, it is Christmas. Which means it's getting cold. It gets cold in Japan. He leaned against a tall ladder and beginning with a window about 5 yards from the ground, quietly cleaned. Sojiro was never the kind of person to mind physical labor. In fact, if there had been a blue sky, this might have been a perfect day off to him. By the time he finished his third or fourth window, he felt very relaxed and began to whistle. Though 15 feet was an intimidating height, it provided a wonderful view at the same time. Turning towards the town gave Sojiro a clean view of the tree-topped hill that had previously caught his eye.
So, there really is a house in the woods.
The hill and the woods just outside of town. From here, the forest overlooking the sleepless city looked like a foreign castle.
Well. Do we have a burglar?
Just then, lost in his thoughts while wiping the window, Sojiro was pulled out of his trance by someone pacing below him. He looked down and saw a girl, her unkempt clothes otherwise contrasting her kind visage.
But you look a little too loosey-goosey to be a thief. Wait, I know. Maybe you're the type that jumps out of people's fireplaces and gives them toys that they don't need. Like that one saint. Oh, I just can't stand his beard. You know all that guy is doing is breaking and entering, right?
He's watching you while you sleep. He's a creep. The more you think about it, the more you creep him. The more creepy he really is. Breaking and entering. Watching you while you sleep. Knowing when you're awake. He knows you 24 hours, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. He watches you non-stop and writes a list of you. It is terrifying and creepy. And what do? You offer him a plate of cookies and some milk. That is a terrifying no. He's pulled by 9 reindeer. She looked to be in her late 20s. Despite the cold, she was not wearing a coat. She had no purse either, which was rather strange as a woman and her purse were never far apart. Not that Sojiro knew this truth quite yet. Based on the fact that none of this seemed to apply to her, no one could easily surmise that she was herself a little loosey-goosey. Who uses that term? Loosey-goosey. A few cards shed of a full deck, one might also say. There it is. That's the term you're looking for. Like me.
I got it.
Are you that part-timer from Misaki High?
Wow, high scores these days really are something.
You put the pros to shame. The girl looked up in admiration to Sojiro as he stood atop the ladder.
Cool, let me help! Is there another ladder? And rags? Since you're doing this anyway, why don't we just use the hose? You don't spray water all over the place, yelling and having a good time! We might get in trouble, but a little fun never hurt anybody, right?
The girl let out a hearty laugh. Her smile glowed like a cactus that had sprouted legs and began to run about. Inasmuch as running a cactus could only cause trouble. As Sojiro anticipated, the girl began to clean without waiting for his approval.
So, I was walking by the church and I saw a figure stuck to a window. A daylight burglar seems pretty bold, I thought, but my curiosity got the best of me. Imagine my surprise when I saw such a cute boy working as diligently as a window wiping expert. You can't blame a girl for wanting to help out after seeing that, can you?
Aww, bow chicka bow wow! Wiping the window next to Sojiro, the girl continued to chatter cheerfully. Although this was all kinds of suspicious, Sojiro politely followed her lead, nodding and agreeing as she spoke. Perhaps it was an instinctive camaraderie. Is that really how you spell camaraderie? You could have given me 100 tries. I would have never guessed that. He sensed this girl was just like him, always getting the short end of the stick when it came to menial work.
So are you from the church? No, I was passing by. More importantly, why are you acting like we've never met before? Don't you remember all those times we met at the shopping mall? No. When did that happen? All the time, silly. You work at that restaurant. What, Tatsu? Right? I was there several times just this week. Oh, right! I'm Hanazawa. What's your name?
Hanazawa took a glance at the flower bed below in the middle of her introduction and gave him a friendly laugh. Sojiro's self-introduction, however, was his usual brand of awkward. Sojiro? Huh? Your name's cute! In an old-fashioned kind of way.
The Ju in your name means 10, right?
Names with numbers are in them are so Japanese, don't you think? Do you know the priests and sisters here? Eiri and Yuika. Their names sound so foreign. I don't know Eiri, but Yuika was a woman with a pretty dark hair, right? Oh, so you haven't met the priest yet? Ida Church is famous for such handsome priests and beautiful sisters, you know? Oh, that's right. You just moved here. You're living on your own, right? Yes. You're really sharp, Miss Hanazawa. You seem pretty good at guessing things about me. It's called deductive reasoning, silly. This town doesn't have much to do for fun. Certainly not enough that a kid like you would need to work this much. Normally you just need one job to cover spending money. You don't seem like the materialistic type either. Which leaves living expenses as the only wholesome reason for working this hard, right? Then again, it isn't very wholesome for a student to be paying for his own room, board, and tuition. Not necessarily. Don't they say he who does not work doesn't eat? Sojiro, you're pretty mature for your age. When I was a student, I was completely absorbed in work too, so I understand how difficult things must be for you. Oh, you live by yourself as well, Miss Hanazawa? I studied abroad over my parents' objection. I went to the same school as a friend, and we roomed together to save money. But food wasn't free, as you know. That said, I'm the kind of person who doesn't mind a bit of elbow grease. Looking back on it now, my time at school and work was a great memory. Sojiro nodded agreeably. Dignified or not, he could barely hold back the sense of solidarity that was welling up within him.
Well, since this might be fate, I'll probably be seeing more of you at Uotatsu from here on out. Come see me if you need someone to talk to. I can't promise that I'll be much help, but I'll do my best impression of a sounding board. Thank you. I appreciate it. Maybe you can help me out right now. What do they actually do here? As Sojudo said here, he pointed at the church. Even Hanazawa was taken aback by his question. Unaware of Sojudo's provincial background combined with her quick-witted nature, Hanazawa seemingly mistook his question as for some kind of sophisticated wit. Good question. I guess people treat it as a spiritual sanctuary. Is that the right word for it? No, maybe not sanctuary, more like a shield. Or a place that plugs leaks in your mind. It's basically a way for people to avoid getting better.
No, Christians need to get better. No, part of being Christian means you need to get better. You need to do better. You need to act better. And you need to act right. Why? Why is this the mind that people have of Christianity? Why is that Christianity?
And they give out free bread and wine.
It's a cracker that's like a molluscule.
For free? Sure. I mean, I've heard rich people just donate a bunch of money anyway. Oh yeah, one more thing. And this is the most important wrinkle. Their income isn't taxed. Saving souls is tough work, but it's zero risk, high reward. So if you got a solid business plan... Is that so? I don't really follow, but are you saying that it's a good place to come when you're in trouble? I wouldn't recommend that. I think it would be better to visit once a month or so, just for a little peace of mind. A rag squeaked as the two carefree souls continued to wipe down the windows, whistling as they went. They shined up one window, then another, then another. Oh yeah, one more question. What are those woods way over there? Huh? Woods? On the mountain, you mean? Well, yeah, but it's really more of a hill than a mountain. As someone raised in the countryside, Sojudo's pride would not allow for a mound of dirt to be called a mountain. Damn! Sojudo capable of throwing shade when it comes to mountainsides, apparently. You think so? Any climb that takes energy to climb up is a mountain in my book. But if you say so. It was as if a shadow fell over her till now sunny disposition. She was undoubtedly a beautiful woman with very lovely features. But as Sojudo looked at her in that moment, her smile melted away, and he saw how disturbed she was at his command. When it comes down to it, it's definitely a hill. Oh, and what about that thing that looks like a chimney? Sojudo was not one to closely watch people's reaction and fuss over his speech. It looks like a chimney because it is a chimney. That forest is all private property. And a mansion sits right in the middle of it. None of the locals really know anything about it because they're not allowed in there. People call it the Kuonji Haunted Mansion. The locals are all spooked by it, so it's probably best that you keep your distance. For a tiny wooded area, there have been all kinds of freaky stories about the place. Weird accidents, wild dogs, sightings, you name it. Wild dogs? You get wild dogs here in the city too? Lots of them. There are so many in the empty lot behind the church. The priests here are a bit eccentric, and one time he gave them some bread, and the pups that made the area part of their patrol route. Anyway, don't go up there. You know what they say about idiots in high places? It's something of an unspoken rule around here to stay out. For one thing, it's private property. If you trespass, someone's going to call the cops. And then you're going to spend the rest of the day getting grilled at the station. That doesn't sound like much fun, does it?
Sojiro nodded along to her story as he stared at the far-off chimney from his vantage point on the ladder. $15 he's going up there. A teeny part of him was curious about the hill because it reminded him of the woods where he grew up. But after reminding himself that it was none of his business, he returned to the window washing. Thanks to Hanazawa lending a hand, they were able to finish the job without a hitch. Between the two of them, they had accomplished a simple but very time-consuming task.
Nice work. I hardly recognized these windows considering how filthy they were before. Why don't we head to the cafe somewhere and get something to drink? I'll treat you as a reward for all your... Miss Hanazawa, you were in the middle of saying something? Oh, sorry, I just remembered some urgent business I need to attend to. Slap him! Slap him, please! Catch you later. Ciao!
By the time Sojiro had started putting away the ladder, turned around, he was able to catch a glimpse of the girl's figure dashing toward the street at lightning speed. It was just before 3 o'clock. More than 3 hours had passed since Hanazawa offered to help. Sojiro watched the girl with many strange faces disappear. For someone who seemed to have been on an aimless walk, Hanazawa had spent a good deal of time with him. Maybe helping Sojiro out reminded her of something she needed to do. Shizuki, are you out there? The student council president popped her head out from the corner of the church.
Don't mind me.
You do your thing. The sight of Sojiro putting away a ladder taller than himself seemed to have provoked an emotional response out of Aoko. Then in an instant, she rolled up her sleeves and began to approach him. It surprised me more than Aoko's sudden appearance. Ignoring Sojiro's bewilderment, Aoko promptly began issuing orders.
Put the ladder on the side.
I'll hold the bottom, so you take the top. She did all of this so matter-of-factly that Sojiro began lowering the ladder before he even had a chance to insist that he could do it all by himself. With work finished and the sisters' thank you gifts in hand, the two put the church behind them. Since Aoko apparently had something to do around the station, they decided they could walk together until they got there.
You're a really hard worker.
Beneath the orange-tinted sky, Aoko spoke more as though she was expressing her thoughts out loud than striking up a conversation. Really? Coming from you, Aozaki, that's really nice to hear. Sojiro gave her an earnest smile. But then again, he had been beaming ever since he received his pay, so the source of his joy was not so clear.
Not so fast. You've still got a ways to go, Buster, so don't get too carried away. You're only just breaking even at that. You're not going to get on my back about school, are you? That'll really spoil my mood. Sojiro hung his head dejectedly. Even if his job had been going well, school was still a bust. Exams were one thing, but his classwork was something he had found himself falling behind in. Why do you hate people with bad grades, Aozaki? Well, dealing with lame brains is certainly tiring, but that's beside the point in your case. And don't let this get into your head. We're not friends, okay? It's the teacher's job to figure out how to help students overcome handicaps. It's your job to follow through on that help. Having a job is fine with me, but make sure to study properly when you get home. Fine, if you say so. Wait, did you just say everyone is good people?
Aoko cocked her head to one side, unsure how to exchange. This exchange had resulted in that response. She decided to interpret as Sojiro simply expressing his gratitude in his own peculiar way.
Oh, one more thing. I need to know what other kinds of jobs you're working, in case it comes up. If you're asking where, I work at a lot of places in the shopping district. The fish shop, the flower shop, and so on. Oh, but yesterday I went over to the next town. I worked a shift at the amusement park. Since the only school-authorized locations were in Misaki's shopping district, his response was as much as she expected. That is, except for a decidedly unexpected last part. When you say amusement park, you don't mean the one in Yashirogi, do you? That's the one. I disassembled and moved unused signs, curios and curios and stuff. It was exhausting. That's so... Yeah, I can imagine I took a lot out of you. This left Aoko. Transporting unused amusement park machinery was not a job that students did willingly in their free time. I'm a bit jealous. I've never even been to Kitsyland, even though it's so close to here. Aoko looked up in the direction of the neighboring town. From here you could just barely make out the Ferris wheel. The round steel frame of the wheel, illuminated by the sunset as it was reminiscent of an old gravestone. That's a shame. Is it because you're short on cash? Aoko had to stifle her laughter. She knew it would be rude for Sojiro to burst out laughing, but the remark tickled her funny bone. No, it's not like that. It's simple, really. Even back when it first opened, I always packed with people. And I just never really had a good time to go. If it were a problem that could be solved with money, I would go right now. Aoko showed Sojiro the envelope that contained the pay from the church. There was nothing sinister about her remark and gesture, but the fact that she did not jump at the chance to go made Sojiro sad. Then why don't we go sometime? Thanks, but no can do. You probably didn't catch on because you are who you are, but the place went out of business. I think it's been about 2 years since the park closed down. Nani? It was no wonder there were no customers all the time he was there. Exasperated as she was at Sojiro, the student council president seemed to be enjoying herself. At this point, she would be yelling things at Sojiro like, I can't believe you didn't know that, but this evening was one and only evening she found it charming. He parted ways, and Sojiro returned home to his apartment and immersed himself in his studies before he knew it was time to go to work. The major cultural difference, though, certainly not the only point of difference between city and country, was the use of time. It did not matter what part of the city he was in, time flowed far too quickly here. Failing to squeeze even a drop of knowledge from his textbooks, he put them away for the day before heading to town. The night grew deeper as today turned into tomorrow. Sojiro reversed his collar to protect his neck from the bitter cold and began to make his way back home. Not a soul to be seen, no dogs scrounging for food, no late-night shoppers. Why would there be the solitary convenience store in the area closed at 11 o'clock? He mustered while a little energy he had taken in an especially deep breath. Man-made landmarks lined the deserted streets. Garish blue fluorescent lights, brighter than the stars above, illuminated the darkness. An unconscious sense of anxiety stirred within him. Get yourself together.
It's normal for a knight to be scary. A chill crept up his spine as he attempted to mask his weakness with words. Stay out of the dark. Stay away from deserted places. Whether there was some deeper reason or perhaps the fact that he looked so helpless. Everybody he had met in his life seemed to warn him with those words. Did knowing that ever help anyone? Ugh, something's in my eye. Ah! Ah! Something's in my eye. How can someone who wears glasses get stuff in his eye? Ugh. What did that even mean? Stay out of the dark. Nowhere in the city was without light. Everywhere from this bustling train station to the remote residential areas was illuminated by artificial light, not least the main roads. Scary was scary, but the kind of fear was a different sort than what he'd felt in the mountains. The most likely source of his fear was the fact that this place was governed by starkly different rules. The way in which the city meted out justice was terribly imbalanced, and the provincial Sojiro, his lack of familiarity with the laws of the land, terrified him far more than the dark. In the mountains, retribution came swiftly to those who broke the rules. Take a game trail, for example. Those who unwittingly trespassed on the animal kingdom domain would, as a matter of course, be savaged by the native wildlife. Accordingly to Sojiro's mind, an offender paid the price for one's mistakes immediately. It was not a matter of who punished whom, it was simply that the one who broke the rules would meet instant, tangible retribution. He felt that in this regard, the laws of the city were far too ambiguous. One could meet the demise without ever knowing whether one was in the right or wrong. Though, I guess it's probably not that different when it comes down to it. To put it simply, retribution was delayed. To take the analogy a step further, back home in his village, no one individual had been given the responsibility of maintaining order. In the city, however, someone was put in charge of punishing lawbreakers on behalf of the kind-hearted citizens who lived there. While crime and punishment in the mountains were synonymous, in the city the two were separated, and an unrelated person brought judgment after the crime had been committed, entering places that must not be entered, seeing things that must not be seen. Breaking the law had consequences. Someone would come to exact justice for the law that was broken. The result of all this was the safest way to survive the city was not to stick your nose in the affairs of others. When the people who cared about Sojiro told him to stay away, they probably meant, if you don't, nobody will be able to help you. Oh, crap. I almost took another shortcut. No matter how much the nuisance these obstacles were, one could not just climb over a neighbor's fence, even when one's apartment was just on the other side. If the people inside happened to be awake and call the police, nobody would lift a hand to help them. With his misguided view of the city, Sojiro once again ended his day in peace. Unable to fall asleep right away, he gazed out his window upon the night sky from the floor of his apartment. The cityscape had caused him to tremble in fear when he first moved here, the convenience of solving almost any problem with a flip of a switch, the novelty of living a wall away from a complete stranger. It all disappeared in the night sky when he looked up. Is this really the same sky? Unconsciously, he recalled his own words. What dim stars. What a cramped sky. Here there were no starry nights. Could he even survive here? The same misgiving since his first night continued to haunt him. His eyelids fell shut. Although he was fraught with worry, Sojiro's body felt the fatigue from his work and studies, and thus he fell fast asleep. That entire thing took an hour to read. I just want to address that. The city is really strange, but a pretty easy place to live. Once you get the hang of it. Sojiro sighed listlessly. He looked down at the winter schoolyard below, lost in thought. December was written on the corner of the chalkboard. He could not believe 10 days had already passed since he transferred to the school. The last vestige of autumn had faded with the change of the month. The trees were all but barren, and the ground below them a mat of fallen leaves. Fourth period was classics. An elderly teacher stood at the lectern and rambled on. While he had finally gotten used to the classrooms, he still had a long way to go to get up to speed with in his classes. Lacking even the basic understandings most students learned in their early scholastic life, it was a battle for Sojiro to keep up. Even if he was unable to grasp all the content right away, he at least tried to memorize everything in the hope that he could make use of it down the road. Which is why losing himself in his thoughts was about the last thing he should have been doing. He would normally chastise himself for daydreaming, but troubling, he was unable to concentrate in class today. Sojiro could not place the source of his lack of concentration. It could not have been the winter in the city. It was much milder than in the mountains. Neither was his part-time job particularly tiring. He was not any more physically fatigued than the average student, so that could not be it either. Others might conclude that it was because the course was boring, but that seemed off the mark too. Sojiro did not share his classmates' opinions about their classes. On the contrary, he rather enjoyed his class time. No, his frame of mind was not to blame either. Trying to figure out what was wrong only made him more depressed. What's wrong with me? It's not like me to be so distracted. He scolded himself and turned his attention to the chalkboard. The rhythmic ticks of the chalk were sending him into a slumber, but he somehow managed to resist their lullaby. And yet he was still unable to focus on the class. Sojiro reflected silently, as was his custom, and sighed inwardly. Deep down, he knew the real source of his agitation. Events of the previous night were the only thing it could be. What happened last night? With a chime to signal the end of class, the teacher bowed and exited to the hallway. To see him off, the 30 or so students all stood up from their desk. The clock, which had seemed to slow dramatically around 11:30, now struck noon. Tension seemed to fade from the room all at once. The release from the difficult lesson was the start of lunchtime, the highlight of school life. Misaki High's cafeteria was not particularly known for its quality of food. Complaints that the quality was below that of a private school went unheeded, and the same unique flavor appeared on the menu each and every day. Private school prices coupled with subpar quality led the majority of students to opt for boxed lunches instead. Sojiro's Class 2C was not an exception. The boys muscled as many as 10 desks into what resembled a long dining table. Conversely, the girls divided themselves to the smaller tables of 2 or 3 desks with practiced ease and started chatting within their cliques. Not a single student wasted even a second of their precious lunchtime. Where both sides deferred to method, they shared a common goal. Sojiro was struck down by the efficiency of the transformation. Even after 10 days, he was unable to keep pace with the rest of the class and remained seated where he had sat during the previous period.
Hey, Shizuki! Over here!
The voice came from a large makeshift dining table near the window. Hosuke Kinomi was beckoning him over while leaning back in his chair in a way that looked like he could fall backwards at any second. He was regularly shot down by others in the class for being lazy and crass, but his earnest nature kept him from getting on anyone's bad side. Though something could be said for not being so forthcoming all the time, too. Time's a wasting. Let's see. I got a bunch of leftover spring rolls from yesterday, but when my dad saw them, he told me I shouldn't waste them. So, that's the only thing I've got. It seemed his endgame was to find someone who might take pity on him and trade him for something better. The two of them worked at the same restaurant, so he was one of the few people Sojiro knew before starting school. It was also the reason Sojiro was able to learn the true meaning of the phrase, can't live with them, can't live without them.
Yeah, Shizuki, get your butt over here. It's a long-awaited canned food festival today. So, we're really going through with this? We're absolutely sure we want to do this? You bet your ass we are. Sure, the stuff is processed to hell, but all the candy crab you can eat. This ain't no sardines in a can, dude. For real? Then hell yeah. Count me in. Is there enough corned beef for anyone? Or is it first come, first served? That's not something you can eat a ton of, you know? Only the first can taste. Good. Is Shizuki bored? We'd be at even each 7 cans apiece with a lifesaver. Oh. I hit a button.
ところで木の実の弁当の中身なんか缶詰より硬そうじゃね？それにその缶詰半分以上賞味期限切れてるだろ。マジ？やったー！俺も参加。お前な、しずきたち。ところで木の実の弁当の中身なんか。
So, what's up with your lunch, Kinomi? It looks harder than the cans. The boys usually pass the time making fun of each other's lunches, but today they were united against a common foe. A pyramid of countless cans stood in the middle of the table. They had all been taken from the pantry of a certain student's house, and the expiration dates on them had all been scribbled out with a marker. Alright, lads, everyone get your can openers. Eating them sucks. No one likes leftovers, but these metal demons must be slain at all costs, even if it means missing 5th period. Oh, a special thanks to our sponsors, Downtown Rikoya Nakayama Market. Yeah, baby! Let's eat! The boys united as one hoisted their can openers in the air. Eat up, Shizuki! There's enough can openers to go around. I told you yesterday that I'm not interested in being your taste tester. And besides, at least half of those cans are past their expiration date. Oh, come on, live a little! Quite an inexplicably sighted group of guys. The real motivation seemed to be spread the pain. All the pain. Everyone must suffer. But moved by their energy and conceding defeat, Sojiro got up from his seat and joined them. Before he could. Hey, give it a rest, why don't you? Forget them, Shizuki. Come eat with us! Another interested party joined the fray. A girl with short but stylish hair had called out to him. She had also tried to get Sojiro to join the track and field club several days earlier. No, thanks for the offer, but I'd rather not. He answered with a troubled look on his face. On their table was nothing but a pile of fruit Sojiro had never seen before. Yeah, why? You don't like papayas? We got mango and coconut. If you want something else, don't tell anyone. We've even got yubari melon. Members of the fruit group pumped their fists in unison at the last delicacy. Wait, coconuts? Can you even eat those? I'd like a mango if you have any extra. Idiots! Meat! Eating anything else is just gonna make you weak. Sojiro couldn't keep track of all the voices flying across the room. All I know is that nothing will come out of either of these choices. That being said, he found it difficult to refuse them outright. His tendency to accept others' goodwill at face value occasionally left him frozen with indecision. Not accustomed to regular human interaction, he was unable to judge when it was or was not appropriate to turn someone down. Someone tapped the lost little man on the shoulder. Don't mind them. If you get involved with every idiot who invites you to do something, you'll mess up your whole life. It's okay to turn them down, you know. And you guys, stop trying to lead this good soul over to the dark side. An inappropriately loud voice echoed through the classroom from behind them. Vice President. Sojiro turned around to see the boy about a head taller than him. With long hair while unkempt, had been brushed back, giving it an appealingly wide-swept look. His attractive feature belied the contempt for the classroom of his eyes carried. Unlike the
dopey-looking Sojiro. He was an extremely attractive boy, capable of captivating anyone who was so much as glanced at him. In most cases, such boy presence would be met with awe and respect. However, our mighty vice president had graciously decided to pay us a visit. I thought you were going to take up residence in the cafeteria so you wouldn't have to see your stupid faces anymore. You lost your way, Your Highness. You were slumming where the commoners rule for their troughs. Shouldn't you be sipping tea with the babes of Class A? Why don't you leave Shizuki alone, huh? First Lady Aoko has it in for him. Now, His Highness too? What could he have done to have earned the attention of such royalty? Really? But Shizuki's such a goody two-shoes. He's never broken any rules. Well, rules of the schools at least. Wait, could it be that Tsukiji really switched teams after Aozaki rejected him? They couldn't continue to give him a hard time. Sojiro could not help but feel sorry for him. The class vice president, on the other hand, showed absolutely no reaction whatsoever. He glared at them with a bored look and simply raised his voice. You freaks should get some new material! Why don't you spend your time more productively for once, like helping with a special winter cleaning team, yeah? You heard me. Only one student in the entire school has signed up so far. Having all of Class C with us would be a huge help, but I guess you want me and Aozaki to do all the work. The menacing growl in his voice contrasted greatly with the boy's well-constructed looks. Both Team Can and Team Fruit's words were doused with like a fire being smothered. This was partly due to their fear of the boy, but mostly due to the fear of the special winter cleaning team. Yes, the special winter cleaning team. Joining me in spending part of your winter break cleaning up the old school building and mountainous rear or courtyard that had been neglected by the previous two student councils. It was a form of legalized torture that could potentially ruin 3 whole days of your winter break. And forget about any compensation in the form of extra credits. No, it was pointless volunteer work for a student council project. It was practically a miracle that they had found even a single volunteer. Sorry, but we're clearly not fit enough. Yeah, that's it. That stuff takes conditioning. We'll just eat our canned food in the corner for now, okay? Yeah, us too. We'll just eat our canned food in the corner now, okay? Yeah, us too. We're anemic, you see? And if we don't eat this fruit, yeah, we'll die. And we already have plans or something. All the students but one scuffled away. That's much better. Lunchtime is best in silence. I'm tired of people complaining that you guys make even more noise than the freshmen. Get it together, you losers. The mom meekly scurried away. Sojiro turned to join them, but as he did... Hold on a second, Sojiro. You're with me. A hand on his shoulder held him in place. Jeez. Who does the student council think they are anyway? Barging into our classroom to lecture us on table manners. Kinomi cursed under his breath at his friends the second the vice president turned to go. What was that, Kinomi? Oh, you want to become our second volunteer? Perfect. It'll make the best winter vacation you've ever had. Vice President must have heard everything Kinomi said, because he gave a thumbs up before figuratively jabbing it in his eye. Yo, this guy's for real? This is voluntary, isn't it? It ain't voluntary if you're gonna force people to do it, am I right? Problem child of Class C laughed merrily. That was yesterday. The school has since accepted the president's proposal that council members be able to forcibly enlist students for participation. And recommendations by the president and vice president are ironclad. Refusing them means breaking school rules in addition to facing Aozaki's wrath. Which, let me remind you now, I won't be able to stop. You're hanging me by the balls here. This is extortion or blackmail or something. Kinomi's terrified shrieking continued behind them as the vice president and Sojiro left the classroom. So much reading. What am I going to do with you, Sojiro? With me? Aren't you busy with other things, Vice President? The two enter the student council room. Oh, I'm sitting back on this. Holy... Woo! I need to sit back.
Where are we?
One of the large student offices specially made for the student council.
It's so tiny.
The second was an archive room used for preparatory office work for math courses. As the latter of the two, the walls were lined with densely packed shelves, making an already cramped room seem even more confined. I was about to say. For this reason, it served more as a private refuge for the student council. The two students sat across from one another. Tobimaru Tsukiji. He was the son of the chairman of Misaki High School and the vice president of the student council. Like Sojiro, he was in the second year and first met the transfer student a week earlier when the task of looking after him was dumped on the student council. I told you to stop calling me that. People may as well call me the president's dog. The shit I have to take from her is self-deprecating as his words were. He hardly seemed dissatisfied with the arrangement. He took a snack from his pocket and grimaced at it before taking a bite. The 100-calorie energy bar sacrificed flavor for efficiency, but somehow not enough to prevent him from gnawing on it like a piece of jerky.
I see. What are you saying, Tobimaru? But being a dog isn't exactly a good thing.
Sojiro sat in the chair with a concerned look on his face. What's wrong with those? Dogs aren't good. I mean, it's a bad comparison in the first place, but dogs are way scarier. You grew up in the mountains, and you're still afraid of dogs?
I'm afraid of most animals, but dogs are in a class of their own.
A pack of wild dogs is particularly terrifying.
They are tenacious as they are fast.
No matter where you run, they'll chase you as long as there's still life left in them. Sojiro opened his lunch as he spoke. Inside the bright green cloth, 3 beautifully made triangular rice balls. Would you look at that?
Look at what? What do you mean?
Oh, nothing. It's just that those are some special-looking rice balls you've got there.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I'm trying to compliment you, idiot. Sojiro was always confounded by phrasing that could be interpreted as multiple ways. Euphemisms, subtle sarcasm were often lost on him. It was only on a rare occasion like this one that he chose to confirm what was being said. Tobimaru had come to suspect that Sojiro had a very black and white way of seeing things.
Say,
does that hard chunk of flour-looking stuff taste any good? Sojiro stared at the energy bar with a curious look on his face. It's not meant to taste good. You can try it if you want. People shouldn't hold back when it comes to 3 base desires. Tobimaru quickly finished off his bar, put another one on the table, and grabbed one of Sojiro's rice balls. Sojiro failed to notice the rudeness of the forced exchange and gave the propped energy bar a try.
it kind of tastes like dirt.
Now you get it. It's what a joyless existence tastes like. Out of principle, Sojiro labored over his energy bar, cringing all the while. He was both curious to the unknown and loath to leave something unfinished. Don't force yourself to finish it right now. The whole point of it is that you can eat it on the run. And while the flavor isn't great, at least it's consistent. Anyway, never mind that. Are you getting used to how things work around here?
Yeah, you and Aozaki have been huge help.
Tobimaru turned his eyes to the ceiling, unable to handle Sojiro's carefree smile. As absent-minded as Sojiro might have been, his expressions were nonetheless incredibly earnest. It's like poison to someone as self-absorbed as Tobimaru. Now, why does Aozaki go out of her way to avoid him? He took a bite from the rice ball to steer himself. Though now cold, the rice had managed to maintain its freshness, startling Tobimaru. Wait a sec. I'm the one that has your back, you know that, right? Aozaki told me you were too annoying to deal with.
Did I say something to upset you?
Don't get it. I'm the only... I'm the only one helping you keep your head above water while Aozaki sits in the student council room digging up dirt on other students. I'm the one who gets lumbered with the crap jobs while she gets to... Tobimaru stopped himself, realizing how ridiculous he sounded. Sojiro, rightly so, knew it was nothing to get upset over. Well, whatever. I'm only here because she told me to be. Do you know? Do you know why she stuck me with you? Because you're the vice president? Tobimaru's handsome face went dark. Do you really think a normal student council vice president would waste all his time on a single transfer student? Ugh, whatever, man. Try asking her directly if you get the chance. You'll learn who she really is. He snatched another bite of the rice ball while grumbling under his breath. There it was again, rice grain that was just dry enough to be fresh and tender in the mouth, a morsel that betrayed its humble description, which must have been delicately molded by a master chef rather than haphazardly clumped into a ball. Just the right amount of salt, the subtlest soy sauce notes coming from the center. It doesn't just whet your appetite, it stimulates the desire centers of your brain and... Oh, wow. If it ain't seasoned... Tobimaru, you appear to be thinking out loud. It's nothing, just color me surprised. It's nothing, just... Hey, Sonoji. What's this feeling anyway? It was only natural to inquire about the unexpectedly delicious bite. He had been nibbling around the edges and had not yet reached its center. Oh, that would be grasshopper. No way! The vice president choked on his cough. He assumed that Sojiro would prefer earthly ingredients instead of seafood on account of his mountain life, but he hadn't expected he would use grasshoppers. Damn it! You should have warned me for Sojiro. But man, that was delicious. Oh, I was just joking. He locked eyes for a moment. It's salmon. I would never eat grasshopper. Right. Yeah, I knew that. Of course it wouldn't be grasshopper. Yeah, I mean, you can't find grasshopper in the city to begin with. As curious as those words were, Tobimaru decided to let them go. Geez, Sojiro, it's not something to joke about. You want me to hurl or something? Don't say bad things about Aozaki then. Sojiro closed his eyes as he continued to chew on his rice ball. Tobimaru watched incredulously as Sojiro made no attempt to hide his disapproval. Okay, that I can't let go. You really saying you were taking revenge for Aozaki? Sojiro continued chewing. Country Boy's silent protest said all that needed to be said. Vice President suddenly looked like he'd been struck by lightning. What the? Don't tell me you've fallen for Aozaki. You have, haven't you? Hey, I asked you a question, damn it. Tobimaru flew out of his chair violently and shook Sojiro by the shoulders. Sojiro opened his eyes. I forget. You don't know about what happened a year ago. If you did, you wouldn't be treading down a path of destruction, my friend. You've got it all wrong, but that's okay. Tell me what happened a year ago first. Tobimaru regained his composure and sat down after a moment. Okay. I'm not one to gossip, but for you, I'll make an exception. Tobimaru reassured himself that it was in Sojiro's best interest as a young man to know. It went down when Aozaki was a freshman. Everybody was new to high school, so nobody knew what anyone was like yet, her included. She was a total babe. I mean, just look at her. All the guys were crazy for her. Little did they know that soon after they would go crazy for an entirely different reason. First couple of months, school descended into chaos. You gotta remember that early on in the year, no one cared about class hierarchy. So tons of guys were fighting themselves over her. It was insane. Just getting anywhere near Aozaki was next to impossible. I don't understand why. I don't understand why. What because that's what happens when 100 guys like the same girl, duh. It would have taken Aozaki 3 months just to have lunch with them all individually. So, people decided to fight over who got to ask her out. They were all a bunch of losers, if you ask me. But what happened next is the juicy part. Those who emerged from the conflict unscathed made their move, and though she might not seem like it, she's the type who likes to put a guy down lightly. Because of their sincerity or courage or whatever. At any rate, she rejected all comers as politely as she could. But then there was one guy who couldn't take a hit. He was the third year who refused to give up. Maybe he was a little bit nuts. It's hard to see it any other way at this point. Incidentally, Tobimaru decided to gloss over the fact that the student was also the former student council president. But he didn't keep it up only in school. Later he started to follow her home. Must have been the last straw because Aozaki wigged out. She sent him packing in ways that I'm not comfortable repeating out loud. The conclusion, the student didn't just request a transfer, he tucked him and left Misaki completely. Aozaki had been sentenced to a month of house arrest. It came to be known as the Bloody Town Hall Incident. She could tell you more about it than I can, but I wouldn't recommend asking her. Ask the school newspaper editor instead. She loves a bit of gossip. I get the feeling you're not telling me everything. Hey, you'd do the same if you were me. You may be the board's chairman's son. And all that, but some things scare even me, and I want to graduate in one piece. You want me to freak out every time I see a girl in a school uniform? Sojiro tilted his head to the side in confusion. Tobimaru had lost him in that comment. Well, whatever. What is this about Aozaki that you like anyway? He tilted his head again, this time to the other side. Whoa. Are you really hot for her? If your heart's pounded in her presence, that could be caused by fear, you know? Tell me, you aren't stupid enough to like her for no good reason. He tilted his head further. What Tobimaru was saying sounded off, but Sojiro decided not to press the matter. All the more because he found many of his own emotions towards Aoko Aozaki to be incomprehensible. It's kinda strange, to be honest. I don't even know her that well. That was because they had not truly spoken to each other since the day she showed him around. Every time Sojiro tried to talk to her, she immediately got up and left. As fate would have it, they ended up working together with that recent Sunday, but made only idle chatter on the way back. Here's something you don't know either, Tobimaru. Sometimes I feel someone's gaze on me, and when I turn around to see who it is, she's there looking like she's worried about me, that I'll mess up. I know what you'll say. She just happened to see me in the hallway and was keeping an eye on me. Maybe she secretly wishes she could ignore me when we pass each other. But whatever the reason, I believe her concern is genuine. And that's the important thing about all this. Oddly, that nature of hers has helped me out repeatedly. His tone was measured and sincere. Tobimaru sighed with a tinge of regret. It's not for those words he could have introduced Sojiro to a more suitable girl with whom he could have lived out the rest of his school days in peace. He never went to such lengths for his other friends. Generally speaking, if it was for some benefit to him, he was unafraid of exploiting another. If there were no use, he didn't bother getting involved with them. That was how Tobimaru Tsukiji operated. Sojiro happened to be the type of person who provided no benefit to Tobimaru, yet somehow sparked in him a desire to help. It was not that friendship was completely alien to him. He did not have many people he felt close to. So if Sojiro had really fallen for Aoko, it was not his place as a friend to try and change his mind. Wow. I guess it's true that I know that love knows no reason. I wouldn't say there's no reason for it. I could think about at least one reason. I thought she was beautiful the moment I first laid eyes on her. Tobimaru's shoulders slumped. After all that, you just like her for her looks? Listen to yourself, Sojiro. What's wrong with appreciating beauty? I don't think there's anything wrong with judging someone by the physical appearance they worked hard to create. That sounded like a sophism to Tobimaru, but he had no counterpoint to offer. Alright, I get it. I'll let you go. It's none of my business who you go after anyways. Now, Tobimaru was mistaken about one major point during the whole conversation. Namely that Sojiro was not head over heels in love with Aoko and hoped to go steady with her. He merely liked her as a person. Nobody could have foreseen the massive calamity that would be caused by this simple misunderstanding. I've got one piece of advice for you, Sojiro. Just because Aozaki fights with someone doesn't mean she hates them. And just because she's nice to someone doesn't mean she likes them. I'm a prime example of that. She spoke with pained sigh as if opening old wounds from the past. I see. What happened? Long story short, she used to be really full of herself and I once tried to hit on her. It happened last summer. I had already been working with her in the student council for a year at that point, and saw her more like a fellow soldier in the trenches than as a girl. One day I lost my temper and I took a swing at her. I like to think I've got a mean right hook, and I slugged her pretty good, so I thought I'd won that round. He had a distant look in his eyes and his world shaded off. The next day, when I came to student council room, I thought she's spoiling for a fight. She was the same as always. And since then, we've simply continued working together as president and vice president. Sojiro sighed at his sorry, and then said with absolute confidence, "So you just wanted to brag about how close you two were?" Clearly he had missed the point entirely. Are you kidding me? How the hell do you come to that conclusion after hearing a story like that? I'm telling you that from that day forward, I could never see her again as a woman. Oh, I was mistaken. The look of disappointment filtered across Sojiro's face. Tobimaru revised his opinion. Sojiro was something of a simpleton, but there was quality to him that Tobimaru could not place. Just like that, for me, her standards are anything but normal. She won't like you for being nice to her, and she won't hate you for being mean to her. That's the kind of princess she is. Sojiro answered that he would keep it in mind as he looked to the clock. They had been talking for a while, and lunch was almost over. Is there anything you wanted to discuss? Huh? I didn't have anything to discuss in the first place. Why had Tobimaru even brought him here in the first place? Sojiro tilted his head in wonder, but shook off the deal to more pressing matters at hand. Could you stay a little bit longer? There's something I wanted to ask you. Tobimaru set it straight, having never seen Sojiro's face look so serious before. Sojiro set aside his rice ball and cleared his throat. It's about something that happened yesterday. He spoke solemnly, and as carefully as possible he recounted what had occurred the night before. Shizuki-san, are you in here? It was 10 to 12 and lunchtime was quickly coming to an end. Her face popped into Class C as lively as if it were an everyday occurrence. Aoko Aozaki announced her presence. While Aoko wasn't part of Class C, she didn't let it bother her as she casually entered their classroom. In contrast, the baby birds who had been so noisily chirping while eating lunch quickly quieted and began to rearrange their seats. Are they trying to tell me something? She bristled internally before looking around the room. She could not see the male student who had come here to find. He hardly stood out, so she thought he might be hidden in a corner somewhere. That appeared to not be the case. Arisato, do you have any idea where Shizuki from seat 12 is? Aoko kept her tone professional. Me? Shizuki left with His Highness Tobimaru a while ago. The boy was shocked she actually knew his name. One might think that the reason students refer to Tobimaru Tsukiji by a royal title was because he was the chairman's son, but it was because he actually acted like royalty. In fact, the vice president was said to have taken a liking to the title. He's with Tobimaru? Are those two friends or something? She seemed surprised. Class seemed surprised at her surprise. No idea, but we've never seen Tsukiji be that friendly with any other boy before. Well, maybe Kinomi, but he's an idiot, so that hardly counts. Yeah, His Highness was slow to warn him, but since the third day, it's been nothing but friendly arguments.
Well, you can't really help but like Shizuki. He may be a little odd, but he's good people. Totally. Sojiro is really nice.
Having recomposed himself, Class C started chatting again. Aoko listened for a bit before turning around, leaving the class with a later. All the Sojiro talk finished as quickly as it had started. Lunchtime was coming to a close in the student council room. Sojiro, having told his story, was smiling in satisfaction. Tobimata was still sitting across from him, was frowning.
So, what do you think?
Sojiro told his yarn as best he could. Tobimata fingered his brow as if he was angry and concerned. Sonoji, are you trying to make fun of me? A word of advice, leave that to us smart people.
Take that back.
I'm more clever than you think. His response only confirmed Tobimata's suspicions. It had to be one of two possible conclusions. That what Sojiro had just told him was true, or that Sojiro was so tired that he must have been hallucinating at the same time. Tobimata sincerely hoped that it was the latter. To be honest, Sojiro, you're growing on me. Anybody that never lies can't be considered human. So, for a misanthrope like me, I suppose you could say it was easy like you. But if you're not going to stick to your dumb story, I'm not sure what I'm going to do for starting tomorrow. Why not just eat in the cafeteria? Hearing his suggestion, Tobimata's face darkened. Okay, I'll spell it out for you. You were hallucinating. If you still insist you saw a ghost, I'd be more than happy to introduce you to a good psychiatrist.
So, that's your take on it?
Good to know. As bitter as Tobimata's words might have sounded, the most Sojiro swallowed them all. I already figured as much. It sounds like a tall tale to me too. I was starting to wonder if it was normal for that kind of thing to go on in the city, so I wanted to hear your opinion. Satisfied, Sojiro finished the last of his rice bowl and neatly folded the clothes. Hey, hold on a second. You didn't actually think there was normal for people in the city to breathe fire or extend arms like that? Like they're made of rubber, did you? Well, not normal, as much as within the realm of possibility. This city is full of extraordinary things we don't have up in the mountains. I thought it might have some extraordinary people as well. Yeah, this guy has no idea what's going on. He has no idea what's going on, clearly. And it's very obvious. Living up in the mountains with no electricity, in a place where the night sky was as it always had been, where humans were just more organisms in a nature garden, makes sense that those conditions would create a boy like him. The idea of children growing up so pure was an appealing one, but maybe it was natural to forego civilization when our population was so small. Or perhaps it was so simple a word that excessive knowledge was deemed irrelevant. It was precisely because city life offered him so much that it was impossible up till now. Relax. The city might have its share of shady guys, but none of them are magicians in disguise. I hope you're right. But Sojiro seemed unsure. And on Tobimata's part, there were things to Sojiro's story that he found hard to swallow. Whether true or not, the incident Sojiro had described was disturbing. For the time being, let's assume what you said actually happened. That would ultimately mean that one of our school students killed someone in the park last night, and that neither of the parties involved were normal. As a newcomer to town, Sojiro assumed that everyone his age was a student at the school. For better or worse, he was right. One of them was equipped with a flamethrower, while the other had a naginata, or at least a bladed weapon resembling one that was a good few feet in length. Sojiro bowed his head up and down and listened in disbelief in Tobimata's voice. Hearing it repeated by someone else, he could see how someone might think he was taking them for a ride.
Look, I'm not crazy. It really did happen, like I said.
Give it to me straight, Sojiro. You're pulling my leg, aren't you?
No, I'm not. But I get it.
there's no one in the
なら
city who
飛び
can do
丸
that,
の
right?
言う通り夢でも見て
If
た
not, I was probably just hallucinating,
ここ
like
の
you
とこ
said.
ろアルバイト
Working
としても
part-time while
この
studying
ペ
for
ースだっ
exams has been pretty tiring. Winter break was just around the corner, and the end-of-term exams were but a week away. Both were proving
た
formidable
俺は基
opponents
本
for
ができてな
Sojiro.
いから
I don't even know the
その倍程度
basics,
の
so
勉
I
強
need
じ
to
ゃ追
study
いつけない
twice as hard as everyone else.
ほら
I mean,
勉強ばか
anyone
り
would
してい
start
る
to
と
lose it if they
ノイロー
did
ゼ
nothing but
そ
study,
りゃ
right?
するんじゃなくてなるも
I
のだ
wouldn't say you're
が
losing it, but you're definitely pushing yourself too
何
hard.
にせよ
Maybe cut
や
back
り
on
すぎ
work a
飲み
bit
すぎ
until
は
the exams
減ら
are
しては
over.
いるんだけどね
I tried to cut
年
back,
末
but
ってアルバ
a
イ
lot
ト
of
を
people
休む
take
人
off
が
at the
多
end of the
くて
year, so they
そ
often
の
ask
代
me to
行
fill
も
in
頼
for
ま
the
れがちだ
shifts.
し
He shrugged helplessly. It was obvious from his words that he had been busy. Even if he was not going crazy, lack of sleep could have caused him to daydream. Even if this did all go down in the middle of the
なん
night.
だか大変そうだな
Sounds tough, Sojiro.
ああ実はかなり
Yeah,
困ってる
city life has been
都会
exhausting.
の暮らしは深刻だ
Sojiro nodded with a pained look on his face, and what was strange, however, was that he did not look the least bit tired.
泣き言言わねえのは感心するけどな
I'm impressed. I've never complained about it. You always look like you have nothing bothers you at all.
そりゃ辛労はどこも痛まないからね
That's just because it isn't bad enough to bother me. As he answered, Sojiro looked up at the clock of the wall. Lunchtime was almost over.
時間だ
Tobimaru, the time.
ああ
Ooh,
もうそ
really?
んなに経ったか
It's that late
気に
already?
せず先に
You
行こ
can
う
go
ぜ
ahead. I still have things to
俺は
do.
まだ用があるからよ
Sojiro watched as Tobimaru made a gesture that seemed to lament the life of a student council member. His eyes looking as if they were looking at a piece of art and not understanding its
授業
value.
をサボれる身分っていうのは
I'm jealous that you can skip class whenever you want.
飛び丸が
I would
嫌
have
いな
thought
手
you were a
抜きじゃないの
stickler for the rules.
そりゃ誤解も甚だしい俺の欠席は手抜きじゃねえ特権ってやつだと言ったろ
How many times do I have to tell you? I'm not skipping when I've got special permission. Vice President angrily defended himself as he stood up. Transfer student merely gazed at him unfazed.
おいおいあれだけ説明したのに
You're not honestly implying that you still don't understand after all that, are you?
まず座れ
Oh well,
いいか
just sit down and listen,
常人を
Sonoji.
上回る英気と
I was granted
幸運
talent
を
and luck
兼ね
beyond
備え
that of most people,
さ
but
す
I
が
always put the work
精
in.
進してきた
But
俺
once I leave here, I'm on my own. Now do you get it?
ひでえ話だ
I'm sick of explaining this to people. My family status will only keep me afloat for one more year. What about that could you possibly
一生
envy?
続くはずの親の
Most
七光
people
って
can
やつ
live
が
off privilege for their entire
俺
life,
の場
but
合
the
は
best I get is 3 measly
年
years.
有効な
So I have to take advantage of what I have while I have it.
嫌だ嫌だ
Just thought of having to count fees like the rest of the idiots out there
バカど
gives
も
me
と
livid.
何首並べ
The
て
adult
金
world
勘
is
定
going
す
to
る
kill
のが
me.
嫌だ
Envy alone will be enough to destroy my fragile heart. While they must have been joking, Sojiro took his tone to be completely serious. He listened to the envied Tobimaru's ability to be so open about his feelings. From his frame of reference, there was nothing he could do but take Tobimaru for his word. When?
そんな権利なんて留年す
Oh,
ればいくらで
if
も
you're
引き
looking
延ば
to
せるの
extend
に
your privilege,
な
why
ん
not
なら
stay
協
in
力して
school?
あげましょうか
I'd be more than
この
happy to
私で
arrange
よろし
that
け
for
れ
you.
ば
The door of the student council room flew open, watching Sojiro's. His frosty statement destroyed the warm atmosphere of the room, and it almost marked an abrupt end to Tobimaru Tsukiji's reign there.
いやいい
No, I just meant that our dreams are something we have to take hold of ourselves.
なら今みたいな恥ずかしいこと力説しないで
Then
ね
why not spend more time
廊下にまで聞こえてたわよ。
on that than the pathetic
Vice
display?
President.
I could hear you all the way from the hallway, Mr. Vice President. Not missing a beat, Aoko Aozaki stepped inside the room. Her dark hair was slightly disheveled as if she had been running. Her gaze missed the sitting of Sojiro entirely and was focused completely on the ranting Vice
頑張れ
President.
飛び丸
Good luck, Tobimaru. Sojiro quietly got up to head
割
back
と
to his
薄
classroom.
情なんだな
That was cold, man. Tobimaru grumbled in front of
だ
Aoko.
って時間がない
But it's almost time for
だから
class.
そういうのが白状と
You're
か
just
な
proving my point. He cut himself off. Aoko briefly shifted her gaze at
時間
Sojiro.
がないのは私も同じよ
It's
あ
not
な
like
たには
time.
いつも振り
I
回さ
have
れ
time for this either. You know, I feel like I'm always having to clean up after you. Not a complaint. It was her honest
なん
opinion.
だ
Wait,
要件はそう
You're here for
安心
Sojiro?
なさいあなたにもあ
Don't
るか
worry.
ら
I'll deal with you next. Her eyes shimmered in murderous glee. It was slightly different from the more sullen gaze to which Tobimaru had grown accustomed. For whatever reason, Aoko's mood seemed worse than
しぶき
usual.
くんあなた走るのと泳ぐのどっちが好き
Shizuki, which do you prefer, running or swimming? Aoko asked abruptly. Sojiro frowned a little before saying he was
ダメ
fine
よ
with either one.
一つにして
That won't do. Pick one.
泳ぐ方。
Swimming, I guess.
あなたが
What do you
まだ
ask?
どこの部にも所属してないから。
Because you still haven't joined the club. It's no idea. I'm not even going to try. When that left the room of Sojiro to object.
うちの校則読んだわよね。
You've read the
生徒
school
はただ一人の例外も
regulations.
なく、
All
部
students
活
must
動
participate
正
in
直
club
どうかと
activities.
思う校則だけど、
I'm not the biggest fan of
決
it
まりは
myself,
決ま
to
り
be
だ。
honest, but a rule is a rule.
悪い
That's
けど
crazy.
そこまでの
How
暇
could I
はないんだ
possibly find time for that? How indeed. An equally terse response. She was typically to the point, but Tobimaro got the impression that she was especially trying to keep her interaction with Sojiro short. They stared at each other in silence. Tobimaro stood breathlessly silent on the sidelines until Sojiro broke the impasse.
青崎は分かってると思ってた。
I thought you of all people understood
yeah,
Aozaki. I mean, of course you
どう
do.
わかだから、
That's what makes you
そこ
strong.
が強いんだろうね。
Sojiro stood up from his seat. He walked past Aoko and into the
明
hallway.
日からでいいんだろ
Do you mind if I start
千
tomorrow?
崎くんがいいならね。
Whatever works for you, Shizuki. He did his best to force a smile before leaving to the student council room. While watching the events play out, Tobimaro found himself deeply impressed with Sojiro. He could tell that Aoko's behavior that she was trying to get a rise out of Sojiro. Sojiro, on the other hand, didn't react. Heedless of what Aoko was doing, he simply went on his way. To Tobimaro, it was hard to believe that Sojiro had not taken offense. From his point of view, Sojiro's poker face had been the performance of a lifetime.
いや、でも、
The
何
kid
が
has some
強いんだろ
balls,
うな、
huh, President? He looked at Aoko curiously. Aoko stood completely still, staring at the wall. Aozaki? Aoko showed no
おい
response.
会長
Yo, President Earth Aozaki, come in, Lady Aoko. I'm talking to you, Aozaki
会
Aoko.
話ね。青を呼ぶな。
Enough with the ow, already? God. Her fury echoed across the student council room. It was a beautiful sound that could be heard through the hallway and made Tobimaru's rant from earlier pale in comparison.
やかましい。うるせえ
Look
のは
who's
てめえ
talking,
も
Miss
同じだ。
Megaphone. Perhaps her shouting was still ringing in his ears, or he was just the type to answer his shout with a shout. But he
そ
shot
ん
back
なんだから
reflexively.
男の一人
No
もで
wonder
きねえ
you
んだよ
can't get a
お前は
boyfriend. Do you?
ほら
I have your
ねえ
attention
騒ぐ
now.
な
別にあなたの声は聞こえてた。
I
煩
could hear
わ
you
しかった
before.
から無
I
視
was
して
just
ただけ
ignoring you because you were
黙
annoying
らせ
me.
るの面倒だ
And I
し。
thought it'd be easier than getting you to shut up.
てめえな。
You've
俺は
got some
肩
nerve.
なんか
Am I a
コ
mosquito
ミ
to
ュニ
you?
ケーションが成立しない点で言えば、あっちのがまだ上品よね。
A mosquito would be better company, so
お
no.
うその心は
And what exactly
お
is that
互
supposed
い
to mean?
何を言ってるかわからない。
We never see eye to eye. Talking to you is like going on a date, both pointless activities. Based on the statement, Aoko must have been under the assumption that dating was the act of two lovers whispering nonsense to each other.
問題はお前にとって意味のあ
The
る
real question is, what the hell qualifies as company to you? But whatever.
いじゃないか青崎
You're awfully harsh today, Aozaki.
今相
Maybe
手
a
を振り
little.
まける状況
This
じゃない
isn't
のよ。
exactly the time to make nice.
不思議だ
Funny you mention that. I haven't seen you try to be civil at all in the last 2
飛び
years.
丸のいない時に振りまいてたの。
Oh, I'm always civil. Just not when you're in the same
そう
room.
かよ
So that's how it is. You're still upset with me for what happened, aren't you?
生徒会長さんはよ
There was only one thing that Tobimaru could be talking about. The incident that occurred in the student council room the past summer.
ずいぶんと昔の話じゃないそれ。
Isn't that ancient
そ
history
ん
at
な
this
どうで
point?
もいいことに容量を
Don't
使
you
って
think
も
you
っ
should
たいない
stop
わよ。
wasting brain power
た
on
だで
this?
さえ脳
I
の
mean,
覚醒
you've
部
got
分
so
が少
few
ないの
brain cells to work with as it is. As the conversation wore on, Aoko's murderous aura began to fade, and her sharp gaze gave way to the calmer demeanor releasing from her. It was quite possible that nobody besides Tobimaru had ever seen this side of her.
ご忠告どうも俺だって
Thanks
あ
for
ん
the
なこと
concern,
は忘れ
Psych.
てねえよ
And for the record, it's not like I want to relieve it either.
さっき
It's just when Sonji was being an idiot earlier, it kind of reminded me of how it went down. Come to think of it, this is the room it
考
happened
え
in.
てみりゃ場所まで一緒じゃねえか
Despite his ranting, his face betrayed a touch of nostalgia. Aoko, on the other hand, was
ちょっと
scowling.
待って。あの話。
You didn't tell him about what happened, did you?
Sure did. At least how you mocked my candidacy for president and told me to my face. Told me my face had sidekick written all over it, and the part where I took the bait and tried my damnest to punch you for it. Aoko let us sigh, and if relieved that Tobimaro had not told Sojiro the rest of the story, even if she wasn't sure why. I'll admit, that was quite a punch, though. It was enough to make me react on reflex. Did I really say that, by the way? You sure did. And not only that, after I was taken to the infirmary, you had the balls to tell me you did me a favor by forcing me to be your number 2. Since that day, Tobimaro had served as the vice president to the person who usurped the role from him. It's fine, though. The president's chair doesn't suit me anyway. I feel much more at home as vice president. Your job would have probably turned me into my dad. Your bride's never allowed you to give anything less than your best. You might be a little too comfortable on the student council, though. Makes me wonder how you would have looked as an honor student. Don't even go there. Even thinking about it gives me creeps. Having one wolf in sheep's clothing around here is bad enough. Tobimaro shooed Aoko away like an annoying pest. It was a typical example of the crude verbal abuse they exchange on a daily basis, with a witness that only 2 long-time fellows had. So, why did you tell him? Tell who what? Why did you tell him that what happened between you and me? All that. I was trying to put a stop to the nonsense he was spewing, and he stopped himself from saying any more. He knew better than to let slip the fact that Sojiro had a thing for Aoko. Everyone knew guys didn't sell each other out like that, even if it was all in truth and misunderstanding. Anyway, what the hell was that for Aozaki? That's some grudge you got against Sojiro? I'm not some princess who goes around holding grudges for someone. That happened over a week ago, you know. He wanted to retort that she was more like a queen than a princess. But he'd come to know her too well over the past 2 years to dig himself into a hole like that. Okay, so why'd you pick a fight with him? I mean, he does throw you off when you talk to him, but there's not an evil bone in his body. Wow, why are you looking at me like you just stepped in a turd? She really does! She really does! Like it was the worst turd, like it was some diarrhea. Well, whatever, so he's a good guy. Oh, no big reason. He's hearing you say that. I was just thinking that I've never met such a despicable person in my life. Well, whatever, so he's a good guy. It makes him the perfect person to pick a fight with. If nobody else will do it, my job falls on me, right? She said casually, having regained her composure. You just can't help yourself, huh? Tobimaro could not follow her reasoning at all. Tobimaro was used to Aoko's erratic trains of thought, but hating Sojiro for no reason seemed needlessly cruel. His friend's naive and innocent face came to mind when he blurted, "But Sojiro's taken a shine to you, Aozaki. How can you hate him knowing that?" His vow of silence had lasted not even 2 minutes. Dude needs... The expressions on here are fantastic, Amy. Every single time. And it's always Aozaki. It's always Aozaki. She has such wonderful expressions. And I love it. Oh, what I meant was, he tried to take it back, but it was too late. He had heard his words loud and clear. All he could hope for now was that she would take it well. Because I like what I like, and dislike what I don't like. Just because he wants to be friends doesn't mean I have to suddenly like him. That sounds like someone else I know. That sounds like someone else I know. Like, why does this girl say things that I know will come out of someone else's mouth? Every time. Like, every line I can point to somebody I know and be like, that's you, that's you, that's you, that's you, that's her. Like, I love her, but right now that line is a moment where just because you're right doesn't mean you are correct. And right now you need to be smacked and be taught some decency. Stone Cold Aoko. Stone Cold's not even a concept to her. This girl is the fucking Arctic. Don't you get it? This isn't just about friendship. And I didn't mean he likes you either. Believe me when I say that Sonoji really has a thing for you. He shouted, his face the embodiment of sincerity. Aoko gave him a blank stare. You were just laughing at him the other day, by the way, Aoko. You were just giggling with him. So, whatever this tsundere attire persona you got going on, shut it. Just shut it. We all know that it's a facade. Alright? The first instant of doubt that ushers in the reality of the situation is the reality of this. But in an instant is all it was. So what? She answered coolly, as if she had no idea it should matter to her at all. So what? Were you born in hell? I assume you didn't hear me and say it again. Sojiro. Tobimaru gave her intense masculine solidarity and fired back. Don't bother. I couldn't care less. She ruthlessly cut him off. Fucking Arctic, girl. Your heart would make the Grinches the size of the fucking world. This girl is so mean, and I love it, but somebody needs to smack some decency into her. Teach her some human decency. Thinking of the boys who still harbored unrequited love for Aoko, Tobimaru tried hard to come up with a name befitting the demonesses in front of him. Lilith! Just Lilith! I mean, it pretty much sums up. Now I see. So that's why you told him about our little incident. Who could have thought His Highness could not be so considerate to his friends? I bet you also told him all the nasty rumors floating about me too, huh? She laughed as a fiendish smile on her face. She is so proud of herself! So proud of herself! Tobimaru repeated to God, whoever and wherever he or she might be for, or forever bringing up Aoko. You did the right thing, Tobimaru. Now be a good little vice president and tell me every single thing you told him. She was smiling, but Tobimaru wished he'd at least try to hide the bloodlust. Just two things, really. The story you're most infamous for, and what happened in this room. Aoko nodded with satisfaction as she listened to Tobimaru's hesitant answer. Rumors? Like those can come in handy sometimes. You can use them to chase off annoying people. Just be careful about who you tell, okay? There is evil behind that smile. There is evil behind that girl's smile. Had this been in writing, the chillingly sweet tone of her words could have been signed with a heart. Whether an angry or happy Aozuki spoke in a disturbingly cute manner when she was in a heightened emotional state. Tobimaru took note of the new discovery, aware that it did nothing to get him out of the situation. Don't worry, I value my life, so I'll shut up. But, Aozaki, do you really hate Sojiro that much? He knew that it was a topic he would be better off avoiding, but he tried asking anyway. The bonds between men at times shine more beautifully than a pearl. Well, I might not like him, but it doesn't mean I hate him. I'm not even sure why I feel the way I do. Which is probably the problem. Perhaps to placate Tobimaru, Aoko paused in contemplation before she answered, giving it a moment without immediately blurting out a response that meant not even he could complain. Guess that makes sense. As much as an emotional argument can make sense, there's nothing I can do if neither of you understand why you feel the way you do. Thinking that would be the end of it, Tobimaru looked up towards the ceiling and silently paused to Sojiro. However, his final sentence appeared to have piqued Aoko's interest. Wait, what do you mean by that? Her fa cheer had vanished. Failing to pick up on this, Tobimaru answered nonchalantly. Oh, nothing. It's just that Sojiro also said he wasn't exactly sure why he liked you. Or more like, there was no particular reason for how he felt. I think Tobimaru was still in disbelief that Sojiro had been charmed by Aoko's appearance, so he purposely left out that part. He said he likes me for no reason? Yeah. I mean, I even told him all about the rumors around you, and it had no effect on him whatsoever. What did he say again? Oh right, he was going on about how genuine your concern for him was, and how it really helped him. It's almost too mushy for me to repeat aloud. All I can say is that, unlike other boys, the rumors didn't faze him in the least. Tobimaru finally noticed a shift in Aoko's demeanor. She was scowling at the wall. She glared at it in silence as it was like her worst enemy, and this continued for several minutes. She really hates him! What the hell is that? Why can't I shake this feeling that I've heard all this before somewhere? She can't stand this man. So great was her ire that the gnashing of her teeth was audible. The irritation seemed until it reached the point of Aoko forgot Tobimaru was even in the room. Tobimaru looked heavenward for forgiveness, sensing that he brought further calamity down on Sojiro's head. She's gonna slit his fucking throat, isn't she? I kinda get it now. I think I know why I don't like him. Tobimaru looked away as if it indicated that he'd rather not know, but Aoko ignored him and began to grumble venomously. The way he acts and talks reminds me of someone I despise. Like how everyone thinks he's an angel and how nothing seems to bother him. Maybe it's how good he is at getting on my nerves. Glancing idly up at the clock, Tobimaru thought the last part sounded like a misplaced anger. And that was that. 1 o'clock had come and gone. Fine. I get it. Sorry I said anything. So, do you need me for anything? Class has already started, you know. What do you mean by class? When did it? The bell rang after Sonoji left, around the time you were busy being pissed off at the wall. Tell me, Miss President, are you allowed to miss 5th period? Of course I'm not! Why didn't you say something? She looked like she was on the verge of tears as she shouted and pulled at his necktie. Tobimaru raised his hand to mock surrender, a gesture reserved only for the true victor. Consider the revenge for saying I'm worse than a mosquito. Hopefully you've learned your lesson, O hellish demon who feasts upon the hearts of men. You're so petty, you know that? You're supposed to repay insults with insults, you coward! She tightened his necktie around his neck with a yank. The vice president smiled with a thuggish grin as if her reaction made his victory that much sweeter. It's no secret you're heading to remedial classics, and I don't have to tell you who teaches Class A during 5th period. Old Bat Fujishiro is going to have your head. Fujishiro had one of the longest tenures of the school, so it was only natural she would be in charge of teaching the classics. This is where you stop yanking out my tie and haul ass to your classroom. I won't even try to stop you. Am I not merciful? She's gonna bite his fucking head off! That girl is just gonna bite his head off! Oh! Damn it! Oh, I can't believe I can't believe you all people pulled one over on me! Just die already! I think she hates him more than she hates the dude. She choked him even harder with his necktie. As Aoko put his words into action to mercilessly strangle Tobimaru, he saw a flash before his eyes.
Gah! Wait, stop! I'm gonna die if it isn't too late.
Do you want them to mark you absent? Aoko glanced up at the clock. It was still only 1:07. Her route from the student council room up to the second floor of the classroom, classroom on the third floor. She ran, she could make it. I'll let you live. I'll let you live this time, Tobimaru. This time. Aoko clicked her tongue disappointedly. What disturbed Tobimaru was that it didn't sound like an empty threat. Be here after school. I actually do have something I need you to do. She was halfway out the room before she even finished her sentence. Finally, all alone, Tobimaru closed the open door, locked it, and slumped into a chair. Never a dull moment with Ozaki around, that's for sure. He leaned back on the creaky folding chair and let out a sigh. The weather outside was beautiful, but the sunlight waned early in the winter. Before long, daylight would fade, and the unheated student council room would go colder and colder. All of the good equipment, like the heater, had ended up in the main office, so we had no choice but to settle in for a chilly afternoon. If only the weather would last. Shame the forecast predicted more clouds. After his somewhat suggestive monologue, Tobimaru's mind drifted. He idly wondered to himself whether Sojudo was an overcast day or a clear day sort of guy. The school day was over. Sojudo headed straight to his job. While the school had approved his jobs at the Chinese restaurant and fish market at Misaki shopping district, there was other work he hadn't mentioned to them. There were too many, but rather because of the illicit nature of his job, one job in particular. Today, his workplace was a pachinko parlor in front of the Yashidogi station. Sojudo changed out of his school uniform into a black fall tuxedo uniform and began cleaning the storefront. Yashidogi was the jewel of Misaki City, a busy place with a vast assortment of commercial centers and shopping arcades, where there were people en masse and there were products made en masse. A romantic might describe it as a place of joy. A realist would note the free enterprise. A cynic would point to all the garbage. Local authorities had attempted to beautify Yashidogi, but there was one basic tenet of society that could not overcome. This establishment was the embodiment of that rule. Business such as this attracted the dregs of society, and such, the front of the parlor had to be cleaned several times a day. Sojudo stood outside in the winter cold, sweeping used cigarette butts, picking up discarded flyers, and tossing empty cans into the trash. Something about it must have reminded him of mountain life, because he cheerfully finished the job with ease. After making sure the storefront was acceptably clean, he returned to the inside of the parlor, where it was a nice warm day. Blinding lights, deafening sounds, and the oppressive odor of tobacco assaulted him as he passed through the parlor on his way to the office. Boss, I finished cleaning outside. Good job. I've got something else for you. Could you go check on a customer on machine 40 on the second floor for me? I have a hunch she might be cheating. His boss was a good-natured man who used to work a desk job. The reason he employed someone like Sojudo, even though he was clearly a student, was not because he admired him for working the way through his school. It's because all the other employees were scary and intimidating, and he wanted at least one employee who was not. Are you sure? I still haven't cleaned the toilets. It's fine. It's fine. She's in the security camera's blind spot, so we have no way of confirming whether she's up to no good. I want you to go because you've got a sixth sense about these things. Go check on her, will you? Dude is the most blind. Why send him? Hearing that, Sojudo put away his cleaning equipment and headed upstairs. It was typically a large-scale pachinko parlor with 2 floors. It prided itself on being a local establishment that was satisfied with talking to locals' money little by little without resorting to exploitive means. But regardless of the parlor's intention, the customers were not so scrupulous. Among them were casual players, professional gamblers, and cheaters looking to profit by exploiting whatever loopholes they could find. On particular prevalence was a device developed by a mid-80s that could disrupt the machine's circuitry from the outside and make it much easier to get what was called a 777 jackpot. As much as the parlor wanted to deny these cheaters entry, it needed to present hard evidence of cheating or risk losing customers. Particularly in the service industry, innocent until proven guilty was not a rule taken lightly. As a result, they could only punish the customers they caught in the act. Such cheaters were known as kotoshi, a slice of society which Sojiro knew nothing about. What he did know was that they were inconveniencing his employers and violating their rules. He went upstairs. The radio and game machine sounds on the second floor were quieter than the cacophony downstairs. There were 100 game machines on the ground floor and over 80 on the second. While there were some empty seats here and there, it was a solid evening turnout. The machine mentioned by his boss was in the center aisle. Sojiro nonchalantly leaned back against the wall and watched the customer hit jackpot over and over again. The second he saw her, his gut told him that she was not cheating. He still was not sure what made someone a master swindler, but if it meant they were special, this woman certainly didn't fit that description. It was almost as if she could feel the look emanating from her. "She's a witch!" As the customers looked on, she silently turned the handle again and again. She appeared older than Sojiro. She wore a green form-fitting one-piece dress, a pair of stockings that covered her legs. Her slender legs were gracefully crossed, and her elegance suited a painting better than the casino. His dark reddish hair was cut short in a bob, perfectly framing her stylish spectacles and crimson lips. Truth be told, something was off about this picturesque beauty, ringing the jackpot over and over again. 4 boxes worth of pachinko balls sat at her feet, and her winning streak showed no sign of abating. She looked bored as her slender porcelain fingers lifted a long cigarette to her lips. Feels like I've seen her somewhere. Just as the thought crossed his mind, her gaze turned toward the wall and Sojiro. Suddenly a chill ran down his spine. He reflexively covered his mouth to keep from shrieking. It's her. The woman from It's her. The woman from yesterday. Acting on pure instinct, Sojiro took off running. He headed straight downstairs, desperate to not be on the same floor as her. He would have run straight out the door, but for his obligations to his job. Boss, I'm leaving early. The person upstairs is fine. He tried to keep his composure as he spoke, jamming his school uniform into a paper bag as he ran out of the parlor. Bye, Felicia. I'm out. Nope. Cloudy weather brought the shadow of night over Yoshidogi as he ran through the shopping arcade towards the station. He shot up the long staircase like an arrow, quickly pulled his train pass from his wallet, and passed through the ticket gate. The ticket gate was crowded with people standing around, walking and talking. The station attended by the automatic ticket machine had an unpleasant look on his face. There was now a familiar, comforting hustle and bustle around him. Just another day in the city. Nothing like what he witnessed the night before. Phew. He could finally breathe again. The momentary rush of relief brought him to an abrupt stop. He nervously turned around. There was no way that dangerous individual could be behind him. Wait, why would I even... He couldn't think of a good reason for why he fled so desperately. As far as he could remember, he hadn't even seen the threat's face long enough to form an opinion about her. Sojiro gave him a good slap on the cheek to pull himself together and quickly made his way down the platform. Unfortunately, the next train was 10 minutes away. Panicking would do him no favor, so he quietly found an empty seat and sat down. He took another deep breath. He was surrounded by people waiting for the train, just like he was, and no sign of anyone pursuing him. His head finally cleared up, and he assured himself that he was overthinking things, though he was surprised at how heavy his shoulders felt. I'm just tired, I'm sure of it. I know my own body best, after all. Sojiro sighed as his greater than expected fatigue. He had certainly struggled since coming down from the mountains, but in retrospect, it could have been worse. It could have been worse. It can always be worse. Physically, he was probably holding up fine. He was much less confident in the mental state. The city and the mountains could not have been more different. He had been slow to recognize the differences and adapt. Acclimation was simple enough. Humans were nothing if not adaptable. Even without any effort, one would learn to adjust over time. Recognizing the challenge, he had been the hard part. Actually, it's all been difficult. Sojiro grumbled a complaint he'd never uttered before. To be honest, he was still afraid to wander around town. There were so many things city people took it for granted that Sojiro had yet to grasp. It was a little wonder that his never-ending chain of surprises would wear on him. Oh, it isn't my body that's tired. That would explain the hallucination. He muttered to himself and shook his head. That which exists, exists. Such was the way of all things. Tobimaru had called it hallucination, but Sojiro knew what he saw was real. The city was a magical kingdom compared to the mountains. If there were real magicians secretly living here, that should have been no surprise at all. The thought alone made his legs tremble. It took him a moment longer to realize that they were quivering out of fear. He had feared the unnatural ever since he encountered the wild bear on a wild mountain path as a child. But this is nothing like that. I cried and screamed my head off back then. Sojiro smiled a little as he recalled his traumatic childhood memory. Anyone would have fainted as the sudden appearance of a growling beast that towered over 6 feet tall. Monster in the movie that Sojiro saw not 2 days ago was the equivalent of a cuddle-stuffed animal when compared to wild mountain creatures. He was reminded that he'd faced far worse before, and his ordeal now was something he could endure. That's right. The problem now is what I heard someone say at the end. What's catch and eliminate supposed to mean? At face value, the meaning was obvious, but the implications were simply too frightening to contemplate seriously. Perhaps he had misheard the words, or perhaps the speaker had misspoke. The law of the city means someone will deal out punishment eventually. Even if he said it, the idea didn't feel quite real. It was hard to imagine that it implied to him. Sojiro breathed in and closed his eyes. His vision dimmed, putting the illuminated cityscape out of sight and out of mind. For now, he resolved to put last night's events behind him. When he opened his eyes, his breathing had calmed. I wonder, what happened to Tobimaru when he tried to hit Aozaki? A question suddenly popped into Sojiro's head. He decided he would ask next time and stood up from his chair. A long streak of light blazed by, announcing the arrival of the next train. Whew. So much reading. There is so much reading, Amy. That is a lot. You know that? Holy. Title. Search for bookmark. Oh, wait. Nope. Config? No. Extra. There we go. CG mode. What am I looking for? Sound mode? Nope. Archive. Is that it? That's it. Chapter 1.5. Chapter. Well, I don't have a 2.5 apparently. Oh boy. So we have completed chapter 2. Oof. I just want to take some time to appreciate it. Hideyuki Fukasawa. I don't know who this person is, but they are really talented. They really like this piano riff. Ugh. Who is the voice actor for Hanazawa? Well, it's not her real name, so I'm sure we'll figure it out eventually. Dance of the Piano Keys. It feels like I'm in a ballroom of some kind, or like some grand hallway to a giant mansion. Just listening to this one. Well, I guess tonight is over, because we're not going to start Chapter 3 till next Sunday. So, good night. I will see y'all next week.